We've got a corporate waiting by to chat with us. Chemicals maker Anupam Rasayan has signed an MoU with 3X per InnoVenture, a subsidiary of Tube Investments, for the supply of targeted and identified new age pharma molecules. In June, the company also signed a letter of intent for a 2,100 crore deal with a Japanese specialty company for the supply of new age patented life science active ingredient for the next 5 years. To discuss this and more, we're joined by Vishal Thakkar, Deputy CFO at Anupam Rasayan. Vishal, morning, and thanks for joining in. You've entered into a lot of agreements and LOIs, but let me start with the latest one, with the subsidiary of Tube Investments. Right now, it's an MOU. When do you think you will finalize this agreement, and what are the terms? What will be the investment required from you? What is your expected revenue share?
Yeah. So, okay. Thank you first for getting us on your channel. In terms of timelines, if you look at it, we have signed the MOU. We are working on the product development with them. We have identified a list of products that we would be looking at. The total TAM for this product should be around about $1 billion of total targeted addressable market that we can look at. These will be import substitution products. We would look at these products to be manufactured in India, which have not been manufactured in the country, and supply to India and to worldwide. That's how we have been doing our business earlier also, that we have been kept manufacturing products which are practically not manufactured in the country, and we supply to India and the worldwide as well. So that's the focus we'll continue. We'll use our our expertise of our process development and process optimization, along with our continuous chemistry, which is a very, very interesting one, and which we have developed over the last 10 years, which we'll be using it here. And we will use the Mr. Govind's experience here coming from the pharma industry that will help us expand our pharma portfolio to a larger extent. And we believe that this should give us a very, very strong growth going forward.
You're saying the total addressable market for the MOU is 1 billion, but what could your share be? What are the assessments, the assumptions that you have made when you signed this?
So I think there is a reasonable size, if you can see. Right now it's an early stage to give you exact data in terms of size and quantity and amounts and all, because it's little too early and too premature to make that statement. But this will be a very, very good growth. The pharma contribution into my revenue will be reasonably high as we go further.
Could you give us some numbers, Vishal? Where would it be?
I would tend to refrain from giving you the numbers for now. At some time later, we should be able to share that with you.
In June, you also signed an LOI with a Japanese company. Has that LOI been converted to an agreement?
So, as you know, that the LOIs take their own little bit of a time to convert into an agreement. But when we signed this LOI, practically all the kind of numbers, all the kind of broad, in terms of volume, price, timelines are finally, firmed up here. So to that extent, there is a very strong visibility that you can see with this revenue or this LOI. We expect that the total quantum of the LOI is around about over 2,100 crores. Over the 5 years period that we have been envisaging this product to be coming in from.
But will it be converted into an agreement this year, say this calendar year?
So yeah, that's the plan, that we would always look to convert that into a contract, and the timelines are looking in the range that typically we have been doing. So there is nothing. That should be in the range that we talked about, right? Historically, it is 6 to 12 months. Typically, you should look at 12 plus something months here, right? So that's where we should be.
Will any of this be converted into revenues this year?
So the last one that we talked about, that should start generating revenue from calendar year 25.
Calendar 25. And could you talk about? I mean, in next financial year, what would this be in terms of? Okay, do you talk about the Japanese contract, the Japanese LOI? Okay, all right. That will start fructifying in calendar 2025.
Yes.
Okay. Could you talk to us about how demand is in Europe specifically? Is the so-called Europe plus one theme playing out? How much of a sort of demand kicker is that? some of the European chemical companies, for example, over the last 2 or 3 weeks have lowered their own guidance for revenues. So things are not going very well there. Just talk to us about the impact and what you're seeing here.
So, sorry. Here, if you look at the kind of LOIs that we have signed and the kind of demand that we are seeing, I think the long-term view is looking robust. 3 to 5 year time period, the kind of demand that we would expect is coming through. In fact, we are a beneficiary of the Europe +1, China +1, and the kind of efforts that we have put in over the last 5-7 years is really translating into demand as well. Even if you look at the guidance that if you can see for the year, we think that we should be able to continue the revenue growth rate that we have been seeing historically.
Does it ever happen that the LOI doesn't get converted into a contract? Is there a risk of that?
Typically, you don't see that risk because of a very simple reason. These are all very, very large multinational companies, because when they sign the LOI, they would really have to run through the whole system. And so the risk of that is hardly anything there now.
About 60% of your revenues comes in from exports. What's the order pipeline? What's the growth, export revenue growth that you're anticipating this year?
So as we had guided historically also, the growth trajectory for the year looks similar as we had said. The demand is fairly robust. And I think that's where I would say I'm in a silent period, so I would not want to comment more on this for the now at least.
Okay, Vishal, we'll leave it there. Good speaking with you. Thank you very much for joining us and running us through all of that detail and some commentary on outlook as well. We'll take a